welcome everybody to another very exciting episode from the ISC Entertainment Network. My name is Ananya, and I am welcoming you all to another very exciting episode of our series, Know Your Politicians. You know, typically we see all these figures on television or in the news talking about latest policy, talking about current affairs, but here at ISC Network, we want our audiences to get to know them a little bit on a personal level. So we have a very special guest joining us today, Ward 5 Councillor George Chahal. Thank you so much for coming on board and giving our audiences a chance to know you a little bit more on a personal level.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And first of all, Pyar Pari Sat Sri Akal, Assalamu Alaikum, Namaskar, Yali Madet, good afternoon, everybody. And I just want to wish, to begin with, everybody a very happy and prosperous and healthy 2021.
Thank you so much. I'm sure our audiences are very excited for all the chit chat we have to do with you here, Councillor Chahal. Let's start a little bit with your backstory. You know, we've obviously, you know, you were elected in 2017, and it's been a great journey so far. But tell us a little bit more about what happened before that, and how did you venture into this whole field of politics?
Well, a little bit about me. I'm born and raised here in Calgary. I was born in the community of Pembroke, which is in East Calgary. My parents immigrated here in 1972 from the United Kingdom, and previously from Punjab, northern India before that. My parents actually got married in England, and then they decided to come to Canada to provide a opportunity and a better life for their family. So I was born here in Calgary in 1975. The South Asian community was small back then, but it was very tight-knit community. And so my family just was always involved. My dad with, you know, building of the Sikh society in Southwest Calgary in the early days, and really involved with the community and all communities from from the Indian subcontinent as well, as we were smaller communities. For me, born in East Calgary, I grew up in the community. I lived in Rundle for a bit and spent a lot of time there because a lot of my family, but I really grew up in the community of Saddle Ridge. Lived there for over 20 years, got bused to school. A lot of people don't know that I spent 12 years of my life in a yellow school bus, getting school to different, you know, sent to different parts of the city, mostly in Renfrew, Crescent Heights area. So that, you know, those are some interesting experiences that many parents and kids face. You know, I think an interesting little tidbit about me before I kind of get onto my political part of my life. You know, I almost drowned when I was 5 years old, and
Oh, wow.
that had a lasting impact on me as an individual. And you know, I think even for my mom being scared for me being around water, I had a lot of challenges trying to learn how to swim, and it took a lot of time for me to deal with those fears of being around water and the anxiety and the pressure one faces. So I'm a big proponent of water safety, and I encourage all, you know, parents to put their kids in swimming lessons so they can learn how to do that. For me, sports has always been a big part of my life. As you see, I'm wearing my Team India shirt. I even brought my, just to show everybody, my Team India jersey. I've had the opportunity to represent India as a, you know, with the OCI citizenship 3 times at the international level, in Pittsburgh, in Dusseldorf, Germany, and also in Toronto. I'm a big sports fan. I mean, I've played ball hockey. I grew up playing ice hockey, rugby, baseball, football, you name it. But I really started loving playing ball hockey, and ball hockey gave me an opportunity to travel the country to win numerous local championships with my team here, provincially, and then compete at the national level and then internationally, which I also in 2017 was an assistant coach for Team India. So I'm a little older and slower than I used to be, but was able to coach as an assistant coach in the Czech Republic in 2017, which was quite a memorable experience. So a little bit more about me, just super quick. I'm married to my lovely wife Amin, who's originally from Edmonton. She's a born and raised Edmontonian. I got 3 girls, the ages of 8, 12, and 16. And I'm so lucky to have 3 lovely girls to spend time with. I've coached their soccer teams as they've grown up. That's a big part of my I think community involvement through sports is coaching, young girls playing soccer and the guys in hockey, but to really, provide an opportunity to coach and mentor and teach about, a lot of other important things that you learn at a young age that help you in a position like mine, leadership, building leadership skills, working collaboratively, teamwork, kind of going through those ups and downs as we all do as people. Um,
Mhm.
for me, I have a undergraduate degree in economics from the University of Calgary. I did my graduate degree, master's in urban planning, and I graduated in 2006 doing that. And my master's was on planning for ethnic diversity, looking at how new immigrants come and settle here in Canada, where they live, and I really focused on the Punjabi community here in Calgary, and then over time, where do they move and why do they move and where do they go, and then really studied the importance of faith, religion, cultural community centers, retail, shopping, but really the importance of kinship, family to a lot of those decisions. So I think that was one of the first studies done in a Canadian context when I did it. And also looking at new models of affordable housing here in the city of Calgary doing that. What happened was from doing that work and doing my master's, I really got a passion for municipal governance. I've always been around politics. My father was involved in England working on labor and the Indian labor movement there. Um, and shout out to all those Indian farmers who are standing up for their rights there, because it's important to advocate and stand up for what you believe is important for you in a peaceful manner, and that's really important in our democracies. But from those experiences of my dad in England and then coming here and getting involved in the Liberal Party of Canada, he ran twice provincially here in Alberta, where you had no chance to win in the 1970s, provincially. Being around those politics and his role in the World Sikh Organization really started for me to learn at a young age about politics and about campaigning and meeting people. So that had a large influence on me. The role of individuals in representing our communities, but also public service, the importance of community and public service and building community. So from those experiences later in my life, being involved in helping many candidates through many campaigns, I decided in '07 that I was going to bring a new vision to Calgary and running in municipal government. Well, that was a pretty interesting campaign. Everybody told me, "You're too young. People don't know you. You're 33 years old. You're too young. You have a young child.
Right.
You have so much to learn. Wait your turn. Nobody's gonna like these ideas." Well, what happened was we defeated an incumbent who, in the previous election, actually defeated Mayor Nenshi in an Ward 3 election.
Oh,
That
wow.
same person ran again, and the person who came second to her was Councillor Jim Stevenson. So what I ran in '07, it was Jim Stevenson, the previous councillor, Helen LaRock, and myself. Well, we defeated the previous councillor, which doesn't happen a lot in Calgary.
Mhm.
But in that election, I lost by 33 votes. I got over 50. I got 5,419 votes. It really showed that for me, I learned a lot about myself. But what I
Yeah.
also learned about, if you work hard, you present good ideas and a vision and a plan, and you provide hope and opportunity to people, that they
Yeah.
resonate with that. That's important to them because they want their lives to be better.
Right.
And that's what we done during that election. So by doing that, I lost. It was which probably was the reason why I won in 2017, from
Mhm.
everything I've learned. But that gave me an opportunity to really think back on what I could have done better as an individual, how I could be a better leader for our community, and
Yeah.
what are issues really important for me. Spending more time with my family. I ended up having another child, my
Yeah.
second daughter, about a year afterwards. Got to travel and spend more time with my family and my life, and with my father, who's ill right now. But I got to spend a lot of years, I think, with my kids, and that I didn't realize that later in this role how much time it takes away from you. Got to travel the world, got to go to India and other places many times, got to play hockey. and some of those experiences of great friendships I made and being able to compete playing hockey. I took a hockey ball in the eye in 2010. I almost lost my left eye. And
dear.
I still have a bit of a impairment with vision, slight impairment. Nothing that holds me back from achieving all my goals and dreams that I have, though.
Yeah.
So through those ups and downs in life, you come to a place, and where I came to in 2017, thinking, you know, at this time in my life, I think I have something to give to the community, to serve the public. If I don't
Mhm.
do this now, life's going to take over. My kids are going to get older. The work I was doing as an entrepreneur and in business, that's going to take over. And I may not have that same drive and energy 5 or 10 years from now, but I have it now. And I have that passion and fire in me, to represent our community, which I believe at that time that we were underserved.
Yeah.
We have there not enough representation to advocate for new immigrants in our city and in Northeast Calgary, which is the part of the city I represent.
Yeah.
Bringing those ideas and those concerns to city council, to other orders of government, standing up for the rights and fighting for those values that are very important for me and my residents. So I decided to run in 2017. I had 5 other Punjabi candidates run, and a few, another member, a couple of candidates run. So there's 6 of us in the campaign. And
Right.
once again, worked hard, knocked on more doors, learned from my last experience, and was successful by winning by over 3,000 votes. And so, and
Wow.
since
That's a
that,
big margin, right? From 33 votes to 3,000. So fantastic.
yeah. So how the threes weren't nice to me in '07, they came out beautifully
Yeah.
in 2017, and it's quite an honor and privilege to represent, being the first Punjabi Sikh councillor. Councillor Gondek was also elected at the same time. But as a first Punjabi Sikh male councillor to be elected, I mean, it's an
Yeah.
honor and privilege to be able to do that, in the communities where I was born and raised and ran a business and raised a family, a community that I'm deeply ingrained in and a part of, that I better than the back of my hand. And so it's been a fast 3 years of being in that role. I think we've got a lot of great things done, being in that role, from bringing a strategy on multilingual engagement and communications to infrastructure projects
You
to the
bet.
first turf field in Northeast Calgary when we have 78 in the city, and so many other
Yeah.
things. So it's been a really exciting time over the last few years, but a very challenging year this year.
Yes, you bet. Thank you so much for sharing that, Councillor Chahal. I think it's such an incredible story. But before I proceed, please accept our best wishes for your father. We
Thank
wish
you.
him a very, very speedy recovery. As you said, it has been definitely a very tough year, especially for the Northeast quadrant, where there have been several reports of increased cases of COVID, and it has been very controversial. But one thing, in the story that you shared, I picked up that even though you were born and raised in Calgary, you are a huge advocate for new immigrants, especially in the South Asian community. So I think that is incredible, because while you could have easily been, um, while being born and bred in Calgary, you could have developed other interests. You could have, gone in a different direction. But here you are, understanding the issues that new immigrants face, and obviously being a proponent of immigrants, because they do bring a lot of opportunity, especially to a province like Alberta. Like myself, I was an immigrant from India. I studied in Ontario, but for my first professional job, I moved to Calgary, Alberta. And even though I'm not there right now, but in the last 8 years that I was there, there's tremendous potential. And like you said, the Northeast is flourishing. It's economically very, very vibrant and culturally very diverse, not only with the South Asian community, but a ton of other communities that feel a little bit more comfortable, I feel, in that quadrant, because of the number of immigrants that are there, right? So in your opinion, tell us, or in your view, what kind of drove you in that direction, that, okay, I'm born and bred Albertan, but I really want to kind of help these new people coming in so that they love my province a little bit more, they feel comfortable in my
Yeah.
province a little bit more, they feel supported.
Well, I mean, this is extremely an important question, and 2/3 of my ward, being
Mhm.
66%, English and French is not their first language. And
Wow.
if you look at the city as a whole, that's about 33%. As our city grows, it's estimated that in 2036, it's going to be about 50-50 citywide. So that's the
Wow.
importance of immigration and migration to our city. For me, my story of being, born here, but my parents' story is no different than yours or maybe anybody else's.
Mhm.
They came here. The first thing they did was they didn't know a lot of people. They didn't have any money. They lived with family members in a bedroom. I think they
Mhm.
didn't have a house. They lived in a bedroom, not even a basement suite. It was a bedroom.
Yeah.
And they were able to save and grow and work. So we lived in this big communal family,
Mhm.
pretty vibrant and exciting family kind of makeup. And then over time, they saved, and like we all do, work hard, we save and send money back home to help
Yes,
relatives and
exactly. Yeah.
marriages of family members, and helping them trying to get here, and so that. But the one thing was these, my parents' experience, my mom and my dad, that when somebody new came, they did the same for somebody else. They helped them through that process of work. So as for me as a child growing up, we
Mhm.
had family members living with us, and you'd see their concerns about how they're trying to integrate, how they're
Yeah.
trying to learn the language, where they're living, how do you get a job, who's going to help you. There weren't a lot of service agencies back then. It was just neighbors helping neighbors, family members, friends helping friends, or somebody from your same village giving you a place and opportunity to stay. So for me, from that, growing up in that environment, being closely involved in our community, and then doing a lot of seeing newcomers come, and I worked at the CIBC and the community of Falcon Ridge, where a lot of people used to come there because I was the only Punjabi banker, I think, in Northeast Calgary at the time.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
Everybody'd come to me because I could speak the language, maybe not
Yeah.
so good, but we could communicate.
Yeah.
And so over time, and a big part for me was educating our clients at the time and getting to know about them and their challenges. And
Mhm.
it's so challenging. There's so much stress and anxiety when you come to a new country.
Yeah.
But our
Absolutely.
country is built by immigrants.
Absolutely.
And they've built this great country, and they've come from all over the world. And we have, India's been, India, Pakistan, and China have our main drivers, and the Philippines,
Yeah.
to immigration to Canada and to Calgary's,
Yeah.
and many other communities as well. So for me, I understand the plight from my own experiences and family
Mhm.
members who have gone through those difficulties to come
Mhm.
here, and the challenges and how they've been taken advantage for, maybe in trying to get here, and understanding those as well, and understanding the plight of students who are here now and the challenges they face as they've come to school, whether they're treated, how they're treated by employers, or in some ways sometimes even mistreated, um, when it comes to
Absolutely.
employment and those
Yeah.
challenges. And we need to advocate for them because they're the future of our city and our country, and help them move forward, and
Mhm.
as well. So I think, I always say diversity is our strength, which it is. My line in last election was stronger together.
Right.
Ekta vichi bal hai. As a community, we do need to come together. We do need to be united to advocate for our needs.
Mhm.
Being a member of the community, I represent everybody in my ward, all Calgarians. But for me, as I seen the plight of my parents, I know the future growth of our city is based on immigration. My part of the city, Northeast Calgary, Ward 5, it's the fastest growing ward in the
Yeah.
city. There's
Yeah.
more challenges that comes with growth from infrastructure investment and all that, but also helping people come here and integrate, and giving them an opportunity to find work and finding ways to get their credentials recognized, and then helping them
Mhm.
be the ones who can continue on raising a family, and being a part
Yeah.
of our local society. So I've just, for me, that's extremely important. And if you look at a lot of the comments I've made over the last number of years when it comes to the
Mhm.
Bill 21 in Quebec, when they said if you wear a hijab or a turban, because of these articles of faith, you will not be allowed to work in the public sector, making people from our communities second-class citizens, completely wrong.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
I've stood up and advocated against that bill and brought a motion forward against that. And then more recently, fighting for, you know, government officials who are stigmatizing people in Northeast Calgary because they're working on the front lines, working in grocery stores, driving a bus or
Right.
driving a taxi, working at the airport, you know, working
Yeah.
in so many jobs in the trucking industry, but then saying that you guys are the problems where COVID cases are increasing. Well, we need to do a better job in when it comes to getting the messaging out and supporting those people because they have no choice to work. They got to go to work. You know, they can't sit at home on their
Absolutely.
laptop and through a Zoom meeting to be able to
Yeah.
do that, right?
That's such an interesting point that you bring up, because that was one of the biggest backlash that the current governing party of Alberta faced, and it was so ridiculous to even hear those comments, because how can you blame a quadrant that is predominantly in the front line? They are going to be exposed to more COVID because, like you said, they are serving you coffee. They're the ones who are stocking up inventory at the Walmarts and the grocery stores. So if anything, instead of making blind comments on a certain quadrant, you need to kind of back it up with information as to why that's happening, right? So because making these sweeping allegations or these sweeping comments just creates a really wrong perception of a community that is actually working hard compared to some of the other communities where there aren't as many number of frontline people, whether nurses, hospital workers, like you said, truck drivers and such. So I guess leading on from that, you did hold, coming into a position of leader. So talking about leadership, some leaders definitely broke protocol, and instead of, staying home like the rest of us, took advantage of their position or however you want to put it, and they still decided to travel. You did make some strong comments about it. Would you like to share that, that I guess your opinions on that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's important. I just want to touch on one thing with the COVID issue as well, is we work on the front lines in the, nursing homes as well, which we've seen a large number of cases, but we live in extended families. I mean, we have kids who go to school, we have parents who work in many cases 2 jobs,
Correct.
and we have grandparents at home. And
Correct.
so, and we live in denser communities. And so that's an important factor that comes to play. But this travel issue that came up, the government of Alberta had said that no essential travel. I mean,
Correct.
don't travel unless it's an emergency that you have to travel. So this is a very clear directive provided by the government of Alberta to Albertans. And then when you're in a position of privilege and it's great. We all have family traditions. I mean, I want to spend time with my family. I want to travel to somewhere maybe warm. I had plans last year. I'd gone on a trade mission to India. And it was a very successful economic trade mission, going to a number of cities. But I was hoping to go back and really have the further conversations this time of year to India and potentially even Pakistan and other parts of the Indian subcontinent to continue that work. But I couldn't do that. I have family. My wife's my in-laws live in live in Edmonton, and my kids want to go visit their cousins and spend time with their grandparents. I wasn't able to do that because we as leaders are held to a higher standard. As a leader,
Absolutely.
if we make the rules in government and tell you to stay home, tell
Yeah.
you to not visit other family members, to just do what's essential, we have to do the same. And when we have had such a fast increase of COVID cases over the month of November into December, and then getting into the holiday season, and we kept saying, don't gather over Christmas, don't do these
Right.
large family gatherings in Christmas and New Year's. But then go to places such as United Kingdom with the new COVID variant, which is a big concern.
Yeah.
Remember, people going there, people going to the US, to Vegas or to Phoenix or to Hawaii, where the protocols there aren't as stringent,
Right.
was a concern for me. And I think that all elected officials, we make the rules, we need to follow the rules. And I stayed at home. I followed the rules just like the majority of us did.
No, you bet. And which is a great, obviously within the South Asian community, to see a leader lead by example. You know, you are very much part of the Northeast community, so you know other leaders can do whatever. But if you are representative of Ward 5, your constituents need to kind of see that, okay, I am your leader and I'm staying put. I'm not even going to Edmonton. We're staying in this house. So that's definitely commendable. I guess moving into the hot topic right now of vaccination. What are your thoughts on when can Calgary residents, say residents of Ward 5, can expect to get vaccinated, and when do you think approximately, or in your opinion, when can things somewhat look to go back to normal?
Well, this is a challenging conversation, and I've been just so focused on everything that's been happening in our community. I mean, we had a devastating hailstorm in June, which is I've spent a lot of the year working on, did a lot
Yeah.
of damage, and then the COVID challenge. You know, I think we're all hoping for a vaccine, and it was really good news when Pfizer and Moderna and some of these other companies announced. And I'm just very thankful that our government of Canada, you know, Prime Minister Trudeau took early on, made sure that we bought enough vaccines for every
Mhm.
Canadian who wants to get vaccinated. It is a difficult process to, you know, one is the announcement, so we all get excited, but
Mhm.
we have to understand, you know, how quickly, once they're approved, how quickly can we build those, make those vaccines across the
Mhm.
world, because they're going to many countries. You know, as far as I'm aware, that our government bought a lot of vaccines from those reliable companies early on. Pfizer is a very big company, a big drug manufacturer, and Moderna as well, but made
Mhm.
sure that the vaccines are safe and they're effective. I mean, there's a lot of vaccine providers out there that
Right.
aren't as effective and safe. So getting the vaccines that are actually going to work for us. And I'm encouraged with we've been told by September, every Canadian who wants to get vaccinated will be vaccinated. And I think that's very good news. It will take some time because we are getting vaccines in batches. So every
You
month
bet.
we're
Yeah.
getting some. And as Pfizer and Moderna ramp up the production, we will get
Mhm.
more. Um, and we've been criticized internationally for buying too many vaccines,
Yeah.
that we're not letting others get vaccines. But you know what? Our job is to make sure that Canadians are going to be
Mhm.
safe. And our government's job is to make sure that we have enough for everybody. And the rollout is going to be challenging. It's a
Yeah.
huge vaccination process, but you know, I've heard from provincial health authorities that they vaccinate hundreds of thousands of Albertans every year with the flu vaccine. That they do have a plan moving forward to ramp up as well. Will there be challenges? Yes, there will. Could there be a delay because they are coming from Germany or the US, or
You bet.
and they have to
Yeah.
be transported? Yeah, there could be. I mean, that's could happen. But the
Yeah.
important thing is we have light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm hoping that, you know, as cases now over the next, if we can be really good at the most important thing, we talk about washing our hands, maintaining social distancing.
Mhm.
And, you know, that's very, very important right now. Wash your hands, maintain social distancing, wear a mask if you're in close quarters with other people,
Right.
and preventing the spread from that manner. If we continue to do that, as more and more people get vaccinated, our lives will slowly start to return to normal. We're all tired, we're all fatigued. You know,
We're
it's
almost at the
very
home stretch, right?
we're almost there, but we just have to keep
Yeah.
at it. So I am encouraged and excited that it's coming forward, and I know everybody is. But one thing, people are concerned. Some people who don't want to get a vaccine, they're saying all these conspiracy theories out there. Look, this has
Right.
been studied by some of the smartest people in our country and around the world, some of the smartest doctors. I have faith in them. You know, if my
Right.
doctor tells me I'm sick, I need to take this medication, I'm going to
Yeah.
listen. I'm not a doctor. I'm going to listen to them. And
Yeah.
Public Health Canada has looked at it, and they know there are some risks from allergic reactions with a small amount of the population. But we
Mhm.
need to really go with the advice of health professionals,
Right.
our doctors, the Public Health Canada. and move forward with their recommendations, because more and more as the vaccine comes out get vaccinated, life comes to normal much quicker, because we need to
You
have
bet,
that
yeah.
herd immunity as a community.
Mhm. No, thank you very much for sharing that. I'm sure it's very reassuring to all the residents of not only Ward 5, but all our viewers as well, that the government is working in the right direction. And I'm sure, as everything else, there is a process to get the right, safe, and vaccinations to the people, and obviously so that they are delivered correctly as well. I guess we're just drawing towards the end of our discussion with you, Councillor Chahal. One thing I did want to kind of briefly touch upon is that the city recently moved a motion to reduce about $20 million from the police budget and reassign it to other sections such as mental health services. Now, obviously, going by what all of us have endured in the year 2020, a part of it might seem like a good thing to do because, frankly, more than getting COVID itself, the entire lockdown, the restrictions have probably created more havoc than the disease itself. So what are your thoughts on this decision? Do you think it's a step in the right direction? Do you oppose it? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm the chair of the community-based public safety task force that was brought forward over a year ago, that I brought forward to deal with many issues of violence in our community, looking at the number of shootings increase and guns and gangs. And so we started this work early on from my task force, anti-racism initiatives, but also looking at is there a better service model and delivery to support people who are in crisis? About 25% of the calls, about 100,000 calls the police go to every year are a mental health or a domestic violence disturbance, and they get called for. And about 80% of them are nonviolent calls. So, is there a better way to have medical health professionals and social workers to be involved when those calls are made? When it's a safe place to go, and maybe you don't need the police to respond. So the police can focus on policing, and those professionals can do that. Now, you've touched on with COVID, we're going to have a huge increase. We're already seeing of with mental health and anxiety and depression and all these issues that are occurring with many in our community, which could, and also the increase of domestic violence cases and potentially suicide. These are big concerns. So as a
Exactly, yeah.
city, what we decided was to say, look, Calgary Police Service, we have a challenging budget. What can we do better? And it's quite encouraging that our police chief and the police commission, which I'm also now a member of, said that we have some money we'd like to put forward to start looking at what the future looks like and how do we transform this community-based policing model and the role of police and role of medical health professionals and helping deal with those individuals who need medical health supports. So we've done that. We as a city also provided $8 million right away to start that process. The police service has also provided $10 million that for this next year and for the year after to put money aside to put there. I'm very encouraged also by with that work, and I've been very supportive of that because I'm, as chair and head of the task force, we've been talking about these ideas. It was great to also hear we had a minister, Bill Blair from the federal government of Canada, come to our meeting recently and talk about the work of our task force. But most recently, the federal government announced that they're going to give Canadian municipalities more money. And for Calgary, that's a lot of money to help support community organizations who are facing a lot of these challenges and prevention programs to help support them. So with everything we're doing from a city, from the police service and their transition, and now this new support from the federal government, I think is going to be a real big benefit to Calgarians moving forward. And I'm happy to be a part of that conversation. I mean, when it comes to policing, though, a lot of this conversation came about, well, this is about taking money away from the police or defunding the police, and we shouldn't do that. But the police service and the police commission are saying we need to do this to provide better service to our community. They're the ones who work closely with us at the city to create this new framework. And I think it's a model of excellence and a leading example throughout Canada and bringing this forward. So I think it's a real good step in the right direction.
That's excellent to hear, because for any Canadian, it's important to feel safe where they're living, but also having that satisfaction that there are resources available, especially when the years have been so challenging, not only from a policing aspect, but like you said, having access to medical professionals, having access to experts who can help them in this current situation of the crisis. So thank you so much once again, Councillor Chahal, for joining us. Just before we end, we'd love to hear from you. You know, you are a government official of South Asian origin. A lot, like I said before, a lot of residents, not only in Ward 5, but all over the city, look up to you and obviously take inspiration from you in your, and believe in your leadership and obviously all the exciting new strides you're making in your role. So what would you like to tell our viewers? Could you give them some last thoughts that we can part with?
Yeah, and first of all, thank you for having me. This has been a great conversation, and I think really important topics of conversation. I think the message would be that it's been a challenging year for all of us. We've had economic impacts, we've had family impacts. We're all going through it, and that we just have to stay focused and get through this together. For me, it's really focusing on COVID and transitioning to rebuilding our economy moving forward, and making sure that as we get out of this, that we build back a much stronger, more resilient city. And that begins with the people. We have to have strong people who are also prepared to help build the city as we move forward. So, I always say, if there's anything we can do to help and support you over in the upcoming days, weeks, or months, please feel free to reach out to me. Through my social media, you can send me a direct message. It's at Chahal George. So my last name, first name, at Chahal George, or my website, georgechahal.ca. We do have, I'm just going to show real quickly, this will be on my website and on Facebook soon, if everybody can see it. This is a brochure of the work we've done this year, and some really good information in here on COVID and some other issues as well. So please feel free to go on my website or my Facebook. We'll have it on the next week or so, and take a look at this. And I just hope that I want to wish everybody the best health and success in 2021. And I look forward to representing you this year. And I hope all of you, if you believe that I've earned the right to represent you in the future, that I can earn your support and as well in an upcoming election that is coming later this year. So those are some final thoughts. But we are here to help and serve in any way we can, and support you in any concerns that you may have. And I always say, first of all, once again, best wishes to you in 2021, to you and your families, and Ekta Vichi Balhai.
Thank you very much, Councillor Chahal. Of course, we are stronger together indeed. We wish you the same, good health and lots of success, and hopefully you'll be on the winning streak again in the upcoming elections. Thank you so much once again for joining the ISC Entertainment Network. Have a good afternoon, and I hope the viewers enjoyed this one-on-one chat to get to know their politician better. So once again, our guest, Councillor George Chahal from Ward 5 in Calgary.